see everybody. It's another night of the Bond Advisory Committee, and what a surprise, you have paper on your table. We need to go through some of that paper, but first, some of you were not with us last time, and so we had to place you at a table so that our table groups would be kind of even. If you just absolutely have a burning desire to be at another table, we can accommodate that. But it's really just, like I said, to try to balance the tables a little bit, make sure that everybody has an opportunity for input, can see the computer screen that's here in front of you, and those types of things. So, let me kind of bring us all back to speed, because I don't know about you, but these last 2 weeks seems like it's been over a month since we've seen each other. It's kind of felt that way, and I don't know if it's because the weather's changing, which is good, but we're going to jump in here and talk about a couple of things. Behind the agenda, probably the most important item there, besides getting your questions and answers, and an opportunity for Mr. Berger to explain the slide that was missing last time. For those of you that were here, he got to the end of his presentation, and one of his slides was missing. I don't know how we did that, but we did. And so he didn't get a chance to tell you what his priorities were for the second bond package. So I'm going to give him an opportunity here for just a moment to address that sheet. He's going to look at the copy to make sure it's the same one.
All right, thank you. So you should have the sheet behind the agenda there. There's a 21 million listed on there. So as we looked at, we're talking about the priorities within the technology bond area. And as we're focusing down to look at 3 years, we're able to kind of draw that line, because we know our renewal dates on certain software and things like that, to divide up where our needs are at. So what would be left after our needs that we discussed last week, what would be needed to look at in the next phase of the bond, or phase 2, would be listed on that page, a little over 21 million. That would be a refresh on our wireless network. We just refreshed that within the past year, 2 years, so we don't need to touch that for quite some time now. Student devices are something we talked about that's always a part of the bond cycle, and we're only going to bond for the 3 years that we need, so we look at that and expanding. Phone system, licensing expansion, we're taking some of that licensing and doing it now, because some of it comes up in the first phase of the 3 years, and some of it will be in the second phase. Computer labs, we're not replacing any of our computer labs this go around. We can stretch them. We'll stretch them a little longer than we usually do, but we'll be able to get another year out of them. And our fiber network maintenance, for those that don't know, we have a shared fiber network that's cooperative with the city of Grapevine and Colleyville. We have some money set aside where we do some maintenance and stuff on that. We'll be able to carry that over. And then this our video distribution system, educational videos and things that go through the network for our teachers and staff, we can extend to that 4th year. And I think that was it, software, our general software in general. So that gives you the number when thinking of what we'll have to look at for a phase 2 or a bond 2, what would be needed as a requirement for technology. Now the key point of that is assuming that we go 3 years for the next bond, if that makes sense. So what we're looking at right now in phase 1 covers us for 3 years. If we don't go for a bond at that next time, that number will increase because some things will come due that we'll have to expand out on. Does that make sense? Did you have a question, sir?
Yeah, my question is, so you're expecting a second bond in 3 years?
That's what we would need for the technology operation, yeah.
What would you need if you made it 5 years?
That, I'd have to rerun the numbers. It would be less than the 21 million back over for us. Well, no, because I'm not accounting for the amount that we already discussed for one. This number would be reduced. The second number would be different. Yes, yeah. So if you want to see a number for 5 years all in for technology, we can send that to you as well.
I guess my question is, are we gonna tell them 150 million and then 200 or 300 in 3 years?
That's what,
Well, the question is, the short-term bond will be 5 years, or something.
The short-term repayment of bonds, and the bond that gets sold is a 5-year bond. from the date of when that purchase is actually made. But what he's included in bond one is just 3 years worth of technology. So the 21 million would be needed by the district at the end of the 3 years, the next 3 years. Now that's 3 years from May of 24, so you'd be looking at May of 27, if the district opts at that point in time to consider another bond program.
Is there anything else that's short-term, or is it only technology?
There were a couple of items in the safety and security area, and I'll get to that in a minute, because if you'll remember the amount of technology that we had last time we met, do you remember that number? How much was it? 32. I'm going to show you here in a minute, we've brought that down to 27.1. So we're trying to make some other room, we've made some other adjustments. That is predicated on the board approving a recommendation that Kyle and I are taking to them this month, allowing us to spend the remaining 2016 bond money to spend basically almost the $4 million that's remaining on technology items to help bring that number down from 32. But the scenarios I'm about to show you from a tax rate perspective are based on 32 million of short term. That is spread out where you spend so much in year 1, year 2, and then in year 3. So in year 3, it's 5 years out from there. All of that being repaid in 5 years' time. So it's aligned with the life of the asset. All right? Anything else about your bond 2 stuff? Any other questions for Kyle about that stuff, or either group or list of items? Okay. Well, then we're going to move right into what is behind the agenda, which is the updated kind of financial information that Mr. Sibley requested of our financial advisor. Because we've had some people that have been eager to find out, all right, after the board's action last month, and now knowing kind of what that short-term technology amount might be, based on Kyle's recommendations, what would the tax rate increase look like? And what are the assumptions that are being used to provide that information? So you have something from BOK. Did you find it back there? Because I'm going to point to quick slides. We're not going to go through all of it. So I want to make sure you're there. First thing I want to do is take you to the slide that is labeled number 10 in the bottom right-hand corner. It's not on your screen, it's at your table. It should say bond capacity factors. I just want to show you, as of August 31st, it includes the principal and the interest to show you the total amount of the existing debt, all right? It is there. It says number 10 in the bottom right-hand corner. All right, you found it? Everybody with me? All right. Just want to, so all of the district's information will continue to show all of that, all right, for the full amount. All right, let's quickly turn over to the one then that says page 14, slide 14. It says preliminary tax rate impact analysis. This should look a little bit familiar, and it has 4 scenarios there at the bottom, okay? It describes scenario 1 being no tax rate increase. What would it be if it were a $150 million bond, $165 million, or $170 million bond? All right, now turn to the very next slide, which should be 15, and it's got impact analysis assumptions. These are really important because these are how these scenarios are built. The assumption here is, if you read the very first bullet, 32 million of short-term technology spent, 11 in year 1, 11 million in year 2, 10 million in year 3, fully repaid in 5 years from the date of purchase to align with the assets. The second bullet talks about 2 different sets of scenarios. So it's going to be those 4 scenarios replicated twice. I'm just going to talk about the first set. So I want you to ignore the second bullet. Go to the third bullet. The bond program would be sold in August at a rate of 5.5%. That's the interest rate. All right? With the rest of the debt being structured for repayment over 25 years. In the second to last bullet, and the bottom bullet talks about the tax increment financing zone that helps to buffer the amount of taxes. I'm not gonna go into all of that analysis right now, but it's just part of the important assumptions. So turn to the next slide. Actually, two. I'm trying to get to slide 17. What does this mean? Scenario one. The amount of a no tax rate increase is $82.5 million. What happened? What did it used to be? 113. Why am I now showing you something that shows 82.5? Here's why. The last board meeting, the board lowered the tax rate, right? Everybody understood that, okay? That has a direct impact here. There's a second set of scenarios over here, and I want you to pop just very quickly. We'll come back to this, but look at slide 21. Scenario one. Somebody tell me what the number is down there. 129. What is that about? That is about the second bullet of assumptions and some things that have not been determined yet by our board. So let's go back to slide 15 with the assumptions. If the board, here in the near future, were to decide, second bullet, to prepay $7 million of the Series 2013B bonds and use the remaining $7 million to subsidize the INS tax rate. INS stands for debt service tax rate. It gets you that second set of scenarios. So it buffers what the tax rate increase would be. So you get a little bit more for no tax rate increase, and the tax rate increases at the different amounts, 150, 160, whatever it is, and 170, are not as high as they are in the first set of scenarios. Do you have a question? The $4 million that he. This is, all 8 scenarios are based on spending $32 million for short-term assets. Okay? That's still in there. I'm getting ready to show you that change, though, if the board approves the other.
Scenario 2 is adding a 0.5% tax rate.
Which slide, sir? 21?
21.
Yes, sir. To do 150 million would be the, I gotta get some 0.56 cents. Yep, yes, sir. So there's scenario 3 and 4 accordingly on that slide.
But, okay, I just thought item 1 was not increasing the tax.
It is. The 129 million is a no tax rate increase.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to make sure because it's not clear.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, there's $14 million in the INS fund.
Correct.
So we're gonna take $7 million in prepay, some of it, and the other $7 million, what it says remaining $7 million to subsidize this bond. So basically you're saying there's no rainy day fund, there's no slush fund for anything catastrophic if infrastructure-wise, if we needed it in the district.
It would still leave 10 million in the fund balance for what you're describing.
Okay.
I don't know that that would be a rainy day for sure, 10 million. But the taxes that would be coming in would pay the debt, so the 10 is still sitting there at some level to handle that. It's a certain amount of months. Derek, you're in the room, help me out here.
That 10 million, what the financial advisor recommends to us is that we keep at least 25% of our highest debt payment as a reserve. So if you look over our So what I was saying is, what the financial advisor recommends is that we keep 25% of whatever our highest debt payment is as reserve for situations in which you described. Let's just say something catastrophic happens, property values just drastically decrease, whatever the case might be. We at least have a little bit of reserve there in order to cushion us. And so what that 10 million does is represents that 25% of our highest bond payment. Yes.
So the bond consultant has not run a scenario where 14 million was used to defray future funds.
He has, but not on these numbers. But that's been a couple of months ago. And it has not been asked of him here recently. So what Mr. Newton is driving at is that you don't have to use 7 to prepay debt. You could choose to use all 14 million sitting there to help buffer the tax rate. Or the board could choose to not use any of it and sit on that 14 plus the 10. Those decisions still have to be made. Does that make sense? Is that okay? That's why I was kind of pointing to the assumptions being pretty important here. So the first 4 sets of scenarios assume no use of fund balance, which is why the tax rate increase is higher. The amount that you can afford for no tax rate increase is lower than the second set of scenarios on slide 21. Any questions? And move on to something else. All right, now, I'll be coming around the room, so if we have questions, I'll be happy to answer them, and Derek is here as well to do that. All right, so what is all the other paper that you have on your table? Those of you that will remember the last time that we were here, Kyle and I both got up and gave presentations, and we spoke about priorities for Bond 1. Dr. Shiver did the same thing when she presented, but we were a little bit more specific in that we identified some line items, tried to use common terminology. And so somebody called this week and said, you know, Paula, I've been kind of adding up all the things that you guys have been talking about, and I think we are well over 150 million. And the answer is yeah, absolutely. The things that even we've presented as priorities exceed 150. So that is the work of the committee, is to get down to our budgeted number. Certainly you can lean on us to help you arrive at that. So I wanted to give you some kind of shortcut sheets here. So technology and operations, this was at the top of that packet with the spreadsheets. These are the things that Kyle and I spoke about. So right at the top is the great efficiencies. The great efficiencies were sitting at about 79 million 2 weeks ago, and today are sitting at 74.3. I will tell you, I'm a little bit nervous. It was great news when the person who deals with our spreadsheet called and said, we've made a change to one of the construction line items because our MEP consultant has reevaluated it, and that number has come down slightly. It was great news. I just haven't had time to vet it and understand all the details behind it. So for tonight, we're going with the better number of 74.3 million. There are, and by the way, it says electrical and water allowance. That should say water heater allowance. I apologize. I was probably typing a little too quickly there. We're not spending money on just water. Remember I mentioned an allowance for electrical replacement, panels or whatever, and water heaters, because we don't expect every single water heater that was on the list to necessarily be a problem. Kyle's technology was 32 million, and you see it there sitting at 27.1, almost 27.2 million. So that number's already been reduced. Safety and security is still sitting at 23.2 million. I think it was just slightly higher than that, but it's been reduced a little bit. And the vehicles, there was a glitch on one line item. It went from 2.498 to 2.5. So, and you have a spreadsheet there that shows you the technology line items and the vehicles. And if you're used to seeing line items in blue, and today they look purple, we're having some trouble with the copier and the toner. So that's the reason you have purple lines tonight instead of blue lines. All the vehicles were blue, and today they're all purple. All right, so that adds up to these sheets. Now, I made some other recommendations in terms of priorities under operations. There's the grounds, the custodial and nutrition equipment. Those line items that I spoke to, they add up to a little over 2 million. I spoke to flooring, painting, and you see, when we add all of that up, it's 146,893,000. That would leave 3.1 million to deal with anything else, in particular instruction. Kind of the other meat and potatoes of what we do in the school district, right? So, I just wanted you to see kind of what that number looks like. That's not fair to the friends, my colleagues in the other departments and divisions. And so, Kyle and I understand, and Alan, who does safety and security, this is still subject to your review. But we made these numbers available to just say yes to at the top of the spreadsheet. So your laptop driver, wave your hands, laptop drivers. Got Leslie and Lauren and Dwight and Calva and Julie, did you raise your hand? Okay. They're going to manage the laptop for your team, and you can see it there on the screen. They can click the button next to the grade deficiencies, so they don't have to go looking for all of those items. They can click it one time. It will populate the spreadsheet for you, indicating that that's a yes for those items. Do you have a question?
Technology is now 21, not 27.
It is 27.1.
He just gave us 21.
21 is for bond 2. This bond would be 27.1. I'll come back by and go over that, because I know this is a lot of different information. All right, so the second sheet that you have says instructional services priorities. Dr. Shiver couldn't be with us tonight. Dr. Ray is here. Ms. Shockley is not here. Ms. Speaks couldn't be here. So I may try to field some questions. They're a little bit out of my lane, but I have Dr. Ray here to help me. Dr. Schnauz is here. You can help me out with some of those. We get to that, right? I added up the priorities that they presented. Most of them. Yes, sir. Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Operation services and flooring, I thought all that was, I was thought, when we talked before, that was already paid.
No, that is not.
We haven't seen it.
I showed it at the last presentation, but it has not been in the grade deficiencies package. That's correct. It is not there. What I showed was $30 million worth of painting and flooring all combined, and I recommended these allowances to lower what was in the spreadsheet as kind of a starter. Okay? So no, they are not in the grade deficiencies. Mr. Groves?
When was the last time the schools were painted?
Is that a comment or a question? No.
Both.
Yes.
To be quite
Some of the schools have been painted here in the last 2 to 3 years, on the exterior primarily. Very little interior painting has actually been done. It's a room here or there, as our maintenance team might be able to get to it during the summer or on a break, like, Christmas break, Thanksgiving, or something along that line. So the greater need, when you see the numbers here, is to actually do interior painting to our facilities.
And that would be part of a 25-year bond.
It would be part of that. So when you go in to renovate that building, all the other things you're doing, you would also then do some painting, because you wouldn't be able to paint everything with the amount of these allowances.
Okay.
Who is trying to call? All right. Okay. So we went looking for as many of the things as we could find out of those presentations by Mrs. Speaks, Dr. Ray, and Dr. Shiver, and added those up. So $67 million worth of items here. Right, so that's a big number right there. You can see right there, weight room renovations are almost 18 million, locker room renovations are 20 million. Sorry, Todd, to point those out, but those are big numbers, obviously. So anything we pick, right, means something else has to be reduced in order to get somewhere closer to our budget.
The swim number on this page, I know there's a bunch of swim items in
There
the
are.
grade deficiencies.
That's great, yes. So in the grade deficiencies are quite a few swim numbers. When you look at these spreadsheets back here, there'll be one for swim. Let me turn to it. Because all these numbers are backed up by a spreadsheet. Swim, we realized after we had kind of an issue with it, there's a water heating boiler that was not in the grade deficiencies. A11.700.103 on the left, that's the biggest number here, all right? So that's why it's listed. And so now you realize that all of these other spreadsheets here show you the numbers on that recap sheet. So if you're looking for, let's do library, that's kind of easy. Library sheet is kind of short. Be careful what I say there. The library items total 2.1 million. Now you might be wondering what some of that hand math is at the bottom of the sheet. If not, I won't.
Why does the running total on the library sheet say 1.76? And then on the.
Hence the writing at the bottom of the page. When we went looking for the line items, 2 of them were missing. Cannon, Dove, actually 3. Cannon, Dove, and Colleyville Middle School. Cannon, we believe, was missed because it's a new school. Dove and Colleyville Elementary, when the last group was looking at it, kept lumping things in with the new building, and some of those items needed to come back in. So I manually added those there for the 2.1 million. Now, the other notes say divide by 5 years, and then multiply that number times 3 years. And that was just, if these numbers were based on a 5-year bond cycle, reducing it to a 3-year cycle, you could reduce that amount of money to 1.262 million. I have not asked Dr. Shiver if we could do that. Okay? It's just some stuff we were playing around with, because obviously all the numbers have to be scaled back in some capacity. That is a way to do it, but I would need to visit with her, I would need to visit with Dr. Ray, Dr. Sykes, and others about those spreadsheets. All right, that's enough information for me. This time is dedicated to you to be able to work. For those driving the laptop, there are some buttons up at the top that allow you to click yes for all the grade deficiencies. It's the same thing for some of the other items that we talked about in the last 2 meetings. You can say yes to technology if you want all of that, and that 27.1 will already be found and populated in the spreadsheet. That was just to kind of help shortcut this process a little bit for you. You do not have to do it that way at all. We were just asked to create those buttons. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to go around to the different tables. Liaisons will too. Laura?
You're still in the process of getting the board approval for the things that are for the old bond, correct?
Yes, the 4 million of technology.
So do you know the things that are like the HVACs and stuff that you were putting on that? Do you know exactly what those are?
Yes, and those are things we've already said no to in this sheet.
Okay, so those are already.
Those are already no's in the sheet. They were in the grade deficiencies and zeroed out essentially when we answered no.
On the new pages that we got today.
Yeah, they were even there last time, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, yes ma'am, your question.
When do we need to be, what is our goal of when we need to be through inventory on this?
Bond 1, I'd really love it. I'm so glad you asked. If we could be done by the next meeting, the end of October. I still have a little bit of time during the first meeting of November. All right, so that's not the end all be all, but what I'd really like by that point in time is to be able to see, you'll see in your spreadsheet, table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, see what you all have in common, see where the differences are, and where there needs to be discussion throughout the room. Okay? All right. So now I'm going to turn off the mic, and myself and other liaisons will be coming around to help you. You also have liaisons at your table that can help answer questions or at least take notes and bring those to us. All right? Great.
The Director of Nutrition Services at the district for years, and I will select for this important goal to guide you through how is best to Is that exciting? It's like a game show, right? So, we have
topic for him.
So you might wanna start looking at some of these items that we want to honor. So you have Walker that can come talk a little bit, fire athletics in, Dr. Ray is doing Dr. Ray. We don't know, we're gonna have to, start somewhere. We're gonna have to cut Ray or, technology, somewhere up here is gonna have to be a trend.
We have more questions.
To do anything
Numbers,
else.
basically.
So, my suggestion would be to start with here, maybe some essays, that way we kind of know where we are. And then we can go back to make the determination. We gotta cut $500 to make that other suggestions that way. Everybody good? Okay. Y'all wanna start with libraries?
What was the suggestion again?
Well, so we'll start with these items that are not related, so the other stuff, all of this. Technology, safety, security, all the great efficiencies, that's $146 million.
Yeah, but nothing's predetermined.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying, that if we say yes to that, then we don't have any, for anything else. So, that's right.
There's everybody in that side, that's
Okay, well, we want $15 million here, so honestly, because we're probably gonna have to go by the lines on all of these. Yeah.
Like, how do we start with this one? That's what I guess we're yes. Yeah. Was it the same? Was it the same as the meeting before that? An extension of that? I want. That's what I was curious, because I hadn't heard any numbers. Before this, they had numbers the same.
And so
So what she provided are these sheets right here. So this is what Dr. Shaw has offered, and none of this is outside law.
Which of these sheets are in there? Do we have sheets of those items, just the gray?
One of the groups is to say what you're saying. Yes, no, undecided, or two.
That's what they do.
You know what I'm saying, like, you know, if that number's on there.
Security, I don't think there's a printout, but we can look at it. And then the rest of these are just numbers. So there's not a specific, there's a specific amount of numbers. So if you want to replace, add things.
something and she didn't.
So everybody has the library.
it's like, it's out as well, I've never even seen it. This was the state this year, every time, just never like anyone think we get the safety to make that way. Never any savings.
I do think we can replace some of them. It's like, it's not going to pick itself up earlier because then it's all through at the same
other districts can't even.
clicking yes.
So we're in some one of the savings. That's my curiosity.
I'm being quiet because it's been driving, and I'm a non-voting member.
$14 million that's in there.
100%.
It can't be used for projects. That's.
Some.
Tax rates, taxable values, tax rate. Sometimes we don't bring in more money. That's why we've got to put more district as
More aggressive on the road makes it. With the safety security.
Yeah, so like the software
What's your five?
and this is, we could do it the easy way, or we could literally go like, okay, so it's so I said yes here, did you see if we can start filling in? Okay, I didn't see that. That didn't work that way.
And so, that's why we can come right over here, because we can keep all this money, but we can't.
Question. I've seen the ones that my kids have, they're
It doesn't matter what we're doing. Now, they're gonna see.
libraries that were organized, not last.
And to your point, safety security has to be the number one issue.
All of us.
Okay, can we go backwards? Can we start at school? Yeah, of course. And at the library. I think libraries would be hard to say no to. I think we can. But I'm also think you should get out swim on your grade. I think you should get out swim on your we swim last time on your grade, we got swim today, so all is writing on the top, I'm guessing. Athletics. There's two. Oh, Lord.
District travel. So like say if you take the A is,
Oh, it's got the grade. You don't have to.
So if you want to go ahead and start saying, just start with the grade.
Okay, that was in their thing today. Yeah, it should be that very last page, or the last two. Right?
Is that what you're on? A11?
So everything that's in the grade is like fire, must be replaced. It's unsafe, right?
So is that, as a group, is that what y'all want to say yes to all of those?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I know enough about
You have to take somebody with you, come in and look at
Sure.
So if you say yes, I just just because
Yeah, exactly. No, it's trying to make that.
But if we're.
Yes. Yes. Which must be paintball. Yep. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
got 1 yes.
All right.
Bill will distract us.
I'd have to go after my,
Yeah, look at the school and say,
we're happy, she's happy. Exactly the way.
if it yes or no.
Did you notice that that recommended? Right, so there are many there that we it says where we are to redo. So what I presented last time was the vehicles that were over 150,000 miles. They're really
So are we thinking this is or we all look at the grades?
Well, but you already had what happened, so the buses that basically are not yes tire, we would put. They are the oldest and most time of the 2.5 days that I recommend. Buses that do not remember here wouldn't be moving in the bond. No, we will be bringing that at the end of the month. It's like 20. Not the 2.5. And our balance is
The other sheet was just
If you say yes to all of them, any of them that I want to do it.
So, I did hear that, I'm gonna mark this first, because the safety and security, that they said they wanted to just.
No, I just wanna read, through.
We're gonna start at section.
So now we're at 97, they're all
Since I checked nothing. It automatically. If you guys, I can do this, if I can, and then I can't.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
If I click that, we're talking about.
Speaking from experience, I can tell. So what's this extra $70,000? When you out the bill is to code, but if we put this new one in there, it won't be.
I'll be happy to provide that. I'm sorry, I didn't make that before. I will tell you that that's already. But I will take you through the stuff that here. Why aren't you really trying to put it on this bridge? You are in a certain state. Yes, we're bringing it. And actually, you're not going to decide. Listen, I don't think you get it the year, but we'll bring it. So I can send you that note. We have to do that for marketing, not we have to do that at the operating. So it's not, it's perfect. It's independent on the bond.
history has done this. Let it go.
No, that's actually, it's the basement. It is kind of nice that it's there on top, we're not able to close it just
Yeah, that's actually
Marvel. It's still only like 5 years.
If I can ask a question, we can make a decision.
I'm sorry, everybody. Go back up to my bed. Thank you very much.
To me, this is like the one to put on the side of this. Like if we have some other more serious, like, if the AC is working, if it doesn't work, we can
You go to a lot of sports games? Really?
It's some season, right?
Oh, really?
Fans are like 160.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Just kind of say, well. At some point, somebody might go somewhere. Yeah.
So like, well, they can only do half of it. I mean, but yes.
And when you're on the team, you know, you don't get much time to turn around.
The fun stops I guess it wants to stop corrosion.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think I am. No, really.
When it's fire. So hammer for the color, just mark what we might want to come back to if we got on it real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it'll
I think we have a duplicate. She's like, Mark.
Yeah, there's a.
Trying to find all their
exactly.
Boiler 3 and 106 will be the same, right? Because the boiler different than water heaters. I guess the boilers will.
How is it?
No, I think we're still on 107. I think 106 might be duplicated above with 116.
It's different.
So it's different.
Or that's okay.
I would lean towards kind of just raising. My daughter just swim more. I know. I go there. It's also not super hard response. School, and I'd rather spend it. We're kind of discussing
I mean, the electricity's ready to everything. It's a very uneducated, I mean, I know that systems are really important, but it's not an abuse that they will look and see. Well, it's less than 2 hours, so I think it's 2 different ones, so it's the retractable ones, and then it's the ones that don't. Sure, I'm sure they have.
All right, I'm surprised for everybody.
It is 1.4 and 1.5, and I was just marketing them to make it come down to. Other thing that I've been looking at on this list is so that would be. We could and see what it is. I mean, that expansion next block is a pretty hefty price there. It's our third of her, right? And you haven't even gotten to where I have a lot of passion, which is So what we're just looking at right now is that we would say no to everything but 114.5 and undecided. Yep, they know.
It's not here's the two buses.
No, you're good.
Right. So what they, these tables work to do is slide on the table. And then there's a battery in there that comes out and goes to our charging units, and we have some libraries. And then we can switch up and battery out. No, it's actually a slide. Yeah, that doesn't make sense, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're talking about this.
But the teacher is the center of they are providing the instruction.
do look at all of our customers. Exactly.
That's the only thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like USA Today does one, there's all these different ones.
We've got 3 categories.
We'll take it.
You're on it. How's it going?
Good job, kid.
Nice plan.
This is what every restaurant eats. 'Cause you're like, that's awesome. I need to call like
Because we've got an option on that column to say bond two. That'd be a cool bond too on that column. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Library allowances for books. There's another line item. This is not. Or longer. Some of them are. Well, probably not. They do a regular check and see how often that's been checked out. Starting at about 20.
What are we on? What number?
I've always wondered why they never do this. No, but it's like, increased by so many eats.
Well, then we just had one, I'm like, what's that building behind Timberland? Timberline?
Yeah, or you could say no to that and say, well,
Yeah. Say it's more outside. We might as well not even have it.
Yeah, we're getting right into it.
I'm playing with numbers here. So. It's basically. Is that what you just said?
Shock concession stands.
So, and if y'all have any questions,
You're probably right, it just is the. If you think. I work at the concession stand. Oh, we try to do our best. The breakers blow and they call me and then I call you. I go find Jeff. I think it really is under facilities. And then when we talk about it, it's done one part.
they think the 2016 one,
Oh, yeah, you giving out chocolate over there? Yeah, how much?
We're gonna visit the plan on that every single week.
no, I want, no, you're voting no, I don't know, I just want You can hire people 21 hours, but you can't hire, you can't.
Yeah, I would just say.
Yes, well, it's funny enough, in our last one, we have five of them, we did hire a finance person to do exactly what you said. But in the bond, they don't have to.
We will go back.
So they would have to bid.
We haven't voted on it yet, but
I wish I could go by there. Government buying scenario. State laws, dictates,
I just think right now, I think it would be a no for me. Just because. I think it's,
Do they ever talk about how their education compares them to their peers? Like,
I didn't know.
how they're, like, compared to their peers?
We didn't know what it was until they protected it. Evidently. Really? Calling anybody next time they get restrained. Take care of it. We just got off the phone. They don't know we'll hurt them.
I swear it was 20. Somehow it was the last one.
Good evening, all. I just want to let you know it's 7:45. You're welcome to stay here till 8, and then after that, we have to depart. But I did want to be fair and let you know what time it is. I would encourage you, if you want to get together and you want to do it over, say like a Zoom, we can help try to arrange for that for your group. If you want a room that you actually want to go meet in, we will accommodate that somewhere in the district. If you want to get together with your team outside of this. If not, we'll see you at the next meeting in October. I appreciate very much all the work, the conversation, the questions tonight. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of notes and additional questions, and that's great. I will spend time providing that information. If anybody has any questions real quick, obviously I'll still be here, and if not, have a very good evening. Thank you.
No, don't do it.
HVAC units are so long.
These ones that they gave you over here.
You're probably in the Equifax state.
Definitely gonna give that out.
I'm not your credit card number.
Yes. And then we'll be able to start looking at, are we gonna give these allowances,
Oh, I just love James. I just love James.
Thank you, thank you.
I know. Problem is over now.
Don't worry. I'm not. Right, that's okay. And sometimes they don't know it, sometimes it's like they do it on purpose. That's probably the only